welcome back to Vizru's walkthrough series. My name is Ben. Once again, here with my co-host Milan, and today we have Justin, who is a product manager here at Vizru, and he's going to be taking us through a few pieces of information today about Vizru, which starting with the form file upload process, an analytic dashboard that has a chart built into it as well, and then we'll finish off with Vizru's pre-built HTML cards. So go ahead, Justin, and we'll let you take it away.
Yeah, hey guys, so the first thing I'll show you how to do is to add a file upload capability within the form. So, suppose against a task, you want to add documents to help support completion of a certain task. The way we'll do that is the first step will go into the task spreadsheet. All right, so we'll locate our task list spreadsheet. Okay, and then we're gonna want to add a column here for our file upload. Okay, and now notice I already have it here, but the column data type must be file. Okay, so once that is added, we'll go ahead and go over to our form, our task form, and let's go ahead and create a new one column layout at the bottom. All right, and then we'll locate our file upload column, and then we'll simply add it here. And that's all you need to do. So once you update and save, we'll go ahead and take a look at the form now. And there it is. So once we have this, let's create a workflow that will execute whenever a file is uploaded through this form. Okay.
So that section on that dashboard, sorry, Justin, before you continue, that section on the dashboard, just dragging and dropping that upload file section from the left-hand side, there's no other thing that you have to do there to kind of enhance that or to, I guess, start that capability or give it that capability. It's already built into that kind of drag and drop feature.
Exactly, yeah. So as long as your column name has the data type file, all you have to do is simply drag it in your form and boom, it's there.
Perfect. Awesome.
And are there limits to what kind of files are supported?
Typically that boils down to the use case. So for our use case, we would only want to do, let's say, PDF or Word documents. We can also upload pictures and other file types as well.
Gotcha.
And in this case, I guess, sorry to kind of hang up on this case, but this is just solely uploading the file and attaching it to this task, correct? There's no information being taken from that file.
Exactly, yeah. To start out, yeah, we'll see that in the workflow actually, the details of the file and what some of these IDs mean.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, please continue.
So we'll go ahead and create a workflow that will take care of our file upload. So we'll just call this task file upload. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add our get parameters block like normal, and we'll call it entry. Okay. Now inside this block, we'll set the action to upload. Okay, so this means whenever a file is uploaded, this workflow will execute, right? So once this is saved, let's go ahead and save this, and we'll go ahead and enable the log before we actually execute it. All right. So now let's go ahead and upload a file. We'll choose our PDF and hit done. So now we see our file here is in the file upload section. If we want to remove the file, we can simply click the X. But if we're done uploading, we'll go ahead and click save. All right, so now let's look inside our workflow and see what actually happened. Okay, so now we see we have a handful of parameters that were set to the workflow. And let's talk about this file ID right here. This is important. So you'll notice that the file ID has two sets of digits separated by a dash. And the first set of digits represents the ID of the file itself. So every file that's uploaded to Vizru gets a unique ID. The second set of digits represents the live space ID, which is also unique. Remember, live space is synonymous with an app container within Vizru. So this file ID variable tells us that this particular file was uploaded from this live space. Okay, and now this is important. Any workflow that has this upload setting enabled in the get parameter block will trigger once a file is uploaded from anywhere in the tenant, including other applications. So as an example, if I had a CRM app that also had a file upload capability, then this workflow would execute whenever a file is uploaded from the CRM. So in these cases, we must first build logic to determine if we have the correct live space. And if we do have the correct live space, we'll do something. If not, we'll do nothing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is bring in a conditional block. So we'll use this conditional block to first check, do we have the correct live space? And then if we do, we'll go ahead and add a notification. If not, we'll do nothing. Okay, so with our conditional block, what we'll do is we're going to do a regex e, which is the extract. So first, we'll take this. This is our live space for our task management app. Put that in here, and we'll say that equals. And then we'll use regular expressions against the file ID variable to actually pull that out and check. So we'll say regex e. We'll pull everything in the disk capture group. That file ID.
What is the regex C for again?
So this is to simply extract the live space ID. So if you notice, I'll go ahead and save, that the file ID has two parts to it, right? The file ID itself and then the live space it came from. So all I'm doing with the regular expression is pulling this out and then checking to see if that matches my task management live space. All right, we'll say all right, and if it's from our task management live space, we'll go ahead and say file uploaded. Cool, now let's check out what happens when we upload a file from our task list. Boom, file uploaded. So if we go back in the workflow, we can see inside our conditional block, so this is our condition. So we see that our regular expression evaluated to the same, right, as the task management live space, and the result is true. So that's why we got that notification. Cool, so now let's create a simple pie chart that will show the statuses of each of our tasks. So let's go ahead and get into edit mode, and we'll create a new element, which is a chart. Okay, so we'll select our task list spreadsheet, and we'll call this priority. And then if we're trying to get the count of a particular field, we'll first identify the field that we want to count, and we'll put that in the X value. So priority. Okay, now in the Y value, we're going to add a custom field for the count. And the syntax is, in the field ID, we'll go ahead and type count. The field we want to count, so it's going to be priority. Okay, and we can give it an alias, we can call it anything. Let's call it count. All right, and so we'll add that to the Y value. Okay, now we'll save and view. we can see we have a pie chart, but we're not quite there yet, right? There's no data in here. So one thing to remember when creating these charts is to group by the field we're counting. So down here in group by, we'll go ahead and select our priority, add that. All right, now we can see that 6 tasks have a medium priority, 3 with high, 4 with low. So now we'll go ahead and create a new widget here on our canvas, and we'll go ahead and drop that chart right onto our dashboard. Right, so in the default view, we actually don't have a legend.
Oh, okay.
So we'll go ahead and select basic legend. Sorry, we'll do total, so that we can actually see the counts without hovering over each of the pie slices. So we'll do update to dashboard.
Yeah, so it seems very easy to get a kind of overall snapshot of the count. And of course, I would imagine you can kind of do, with different types of data, you can do different types of charts and kind of however you want it to display that.
Exactly, yeah. So we have pie charts. We can do a bar chart if we want. You can see how that changes here. Column chart, similar to the bar chart, except it's vertical. We also have charts for area, line charts, funnel, etc. Okay, but I would say the most commonly used ones are the pie, bar, column, and then the line.
Yeah, it seems very straightforward here. Very, very useful in terms of kind of displaying information as you just did here, just overall snapshot on top of the dashboard, kind of giving you a count. So you're not going in there, or any user for that matter is, going through there and counting, the tasks that are all the high ones, for example.
Exactly, yeah. And it's, as you can see, it's super easy to set up. As long as you know the syntax for how the chart is put together, you can make many of these really fast.
Awesome.
So now what I want to do is add a card, an HTML card, to show the different statuses against our task list. So let's go ahead and create a new element, be an HTML card. Okay, so as you can see, we have a blank HTML content here. So what we can do is click on components and templates, and that'll open up our UI library. And let's go ahead and choose a card that will help us display the count for each of our statuses. All right, so let's choose this one. It's nice and simple. We'll go ahead and copy the HTML. And we'll go ahead and paste it in our HTML section, okay? Give it a title. All right, and we'll add our status variable inside here, and we'll go ahead and click Save and View. All right, so as you can see, now the data inside the card is static, right? So what we'll want to do is turn this number here into a count for our statuses, and then the text below will represent the various statuses. So the first thing to notice is that these are enclosed in divs, right? So this is the first one. This one corresponds to that 92 in processing. The second div corresponds to that 158 in outstanding. So I'll go ahead and remove the second div because we only want one. So now for our status, we'll go ahead and replace processing with our status variable, and you can do that by simply highlighting processing and then clicking that down arrow button. So as you can see, any variable inside the HTML card will be enclosed by these curly brackets. All right, now for the count itself right here, we'll do the same thing as we did in the chart builder. We'll add a custom field, count. Status is the field that we're counting, and we'll just simply call it count for the alias. All right, so we'll remove 92 and replace that with the count variable. Okay, same thing with the chart. We're going to want to group by the variable that we're counting. So we're going to do status. We'll add that. Okay, and now we're going to want to add our data tags. So what we're going to do now is essentially create a loop around this div and display each of our statuses in our spreadsheet. So we'll go ahead and add our data tags at the start and where we want it to end. Okay, so anything enclosed in these data tags will essentially create a loop, right? So we'll take a look and see how that looks like. Oh, and by the way, as a quick note, you can update the preview section as you're editing the card by clicking in the title and then clicking in the preview box itself, and then it'll update to show you exactly what the changes that you made.
A nice little hack.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 12, which is obviously not correct. So let's see what we did wrong. So we have the status. Ah, yes. So what I forgot to do is the very first step is to actually change the source spreadsheet from task audit to task list, right? Task list is what we want to show. All right, so we'll go ahead and add our status variable and our count. Okay, we'll make sure we're grouping by status. We'll add that. Now let's check out what we have. All right, so now we can see each of the statuses in our spreadsheet with their respective count. Notice that there's an 8 here that has no status, and that simply means that these fields are blank or null inside the spreadsheet. 1 completed task, 1 on hold, 3 in progress. Great, so we'll go ahead and save this, and now we'll go ahead and add this to our dashboard. All right, and let's play around with the size so it looks a little better. We'll make this smaller. All right, and there we have it.
Awesome, very nice. So that seems very easy, just to add kind of any pre-built HTML cards that we have here on Vizru, and in terms of just kind of editing those, and like you said, if you know those syntaxes and the naming conventions of things, it's very easy to edit it as well to fit your needs.
Correct, yeah, and this library is super helpful, especially if you don't really know HTML. You may know the basics, but designing it.
That was my next thing I was going to go at was, people can use these HTML pre-built HTML cards, but then of course if they have HTML background or experience, they could of course create their own. Correct. So thanks again for Justin joining us today and going over these 3 critical parts on Vizru as we get into the more intermediate and advanced stuff here in the Vizru walkthrough series. That's all from Milan and I today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.